From giving us insane plays to bringing countless wins for this team, here are the greatest Chicago Bulls players of all time. Starting off is a player who just left the team too soon, Reggie Theus. Now, Theus was picked 9th overall by Chicago in the 1978 draft. He could play multiple positions because of his size and style. He was a natural two-guard, which was clear from how well he scored, but he was also big enough to play some small forward. After coming in second place for Rookie of the Year, Theus had an all-star-worthy season in which he averaged 20 points and 6 assists, but he didn't make the team. The next year, though, Theus was chosen for the All-Star team. He would show up again in 1983. Theus's time with the Bulls came to a bad end, though. The new coach, Kevin Lowry, put him on the bench, and he was traded before the NBA's trade deadline. In the end, we just never found out exactly what went down. But then there's another player who did so much for this team, even though he was only there for a limited time, and that's Dennis Rodman. When Rodman came to Chicago with his rainbow hair, he was already a big deal. He won 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards and won 2 championships with the rival Detroit Pistons. Even though Rodman only played for Chicago for 3 years, it's clear that he made a big difference for that team. After the Bulls' record-setting 72-win season, he was named to the All-Defensive First Team for the 7th time. He was also one of the top 3 rebounders every season and led the league in his 3rd year. The Bulls needed Rodman's inside defense and out-of-this-world rebounding skills for their second run of titles. While this player was good on his own, there are some that are just really great team players. Chet Walker is a pretty good example of this. He was one of the first real stars for the Bulls. After winning a championship with Philadelphia, where he was traded, he spent the last 6 years of his career in Chicago, where he never averaged less than 19 points and 5 rebounds per game. Walker helped make the Bulls a great team in the early and middle 1970s, along with Jerry Sloan, Norm Van Lier, and Bob Love. Also, keep in mind that every year Walker was on the team, Chicago made the playoffs. He never had the same success in Chicago as he did in Philadelphia, but his great play for the Bulls helped him get into the Hall of Fame. Speaking of titles and recognition, this list wouldn't be complete if we didn't mention the legendary Gilmore Artis. After the ABA and NBA merged, the Bulls were able to get one of the best centers in NBA history. The NBA record for most field goals made in a career is still held by Gilmore. He scored points at a very high rate, got rebounds well, and was a great defender. In his first year in the NBA, he made the All-Defensive Second Team and was chosen for 4 All-Star teams. Gilmore is the all-time leader in blocks for the Bulls. He's also, without a doubt, the best center in the Bulls' history. It doesn't come as a surprise then that he was inducted into the Hall of Fame back in 2011. This is pretty cool, but what's even cooler is when a player becomes unstoppable when you pair him with equally good players. Norm Van Lier definitely comes in that category. In fact, he was one of the best Bulls defenders ever. He was chosen 3 times for the All-Defensive First Team and 5 times for the All-Defensive Second Team. After the 1973-74 season, he was also chosen for the All-NBA Second Team. At the time, they were part of one of the best defensive backcourts in the league, with Jerry Sloan. Van Lier is the 3rd player in history with the most steals and assists. With 5 trips to the playoffs, Van Lier's Bulls in the 1970s were one of the best teams in franchise history. When it comes to recent times, though, there's a player that has done more in his short time in the league than most players do in their whole careers, aka Derrick Rose. He's the only one in the top 5 of this list with less than 4 seasons under his belt. This includes the fact that he was the league's youngest MVP, and a rule was made in his honor so that players who do well early on can get bigger contracts. After tearing his ACL, which ended the Bulls' playoff run in 2012, Rose missed the whole 2012-13 season to work on his knee and his game to get back to full strength. There's no doubt about how important he was, both on and off the court. Another super important person is one of 4 players whose jerseys are still hanging in the rafters, and that's none other than Bob Love. After being traded to the Bulls during the 1968-69 season, Love did very well. He scored the points the Bulls needed to win and was one of first power forwards to score. In 1971 and 1972, he was named to the All-Defensive Second Team and was also an All-Star 3 times with the Chicago Cubs. Then in 1974 and 1975, he led the Bulls to the Western Conference Finals, where they were swept by the Milwaukee Bucks and then lost in Game 7 transition to the Golden State Warriors. He's 3rd all-time in points, 2nd all-time in free throws made, and 8th all-time in rebounds. That's all great, but then imagine getting named the original Bull because of your insane plays and achievements. Well, Jerry Sloan enjoys the luxury of being called that. In 1966, when the NBA added more teams, the Bulls picked Sloan first. And what a great choice this ended up being. Sloan was a good scorer, but it was his ability to get rebounds and play defense that made him stand out. His averages for rebounds were those of a power forward or center, and his defense helped him make the all-defensive first team 4 times, and the second team 2 times. Sloan was also an All-Star twice, and he led the Bulls to the playoffs 8 times in a row. This player was the first one to have his jersey retired by the team. After this, the player who has done the most for the team, after Michael Jordan of course, is Scottie Pippen. Now, Pippen's not only one of the best perimeter defenders of all time, but also one of the most versatile. He led the Bulls in scoring, assists, rebounds, blocks, and steals during the 1994 to 1995 season.
Be the referee in this. Just watch how high up Pippen gets on this side. Now remember, Charles Smith is a shot blocker.
And was only the 2nd player in NBA history to do that at the time. He was named to 7 All-Star teams, 8 All-Defensive First Teams, 3 All-NBA First Teams, and won 6 NBA titles. So it should be clear that Pippen is only second to one other Bull, the Bull whose name everyone has heard at least once in their life, the one and only Michael Jordan. MJ is the most versatile scorer in the history of the league.
Michael, get it pulled with a fresh shot clock. MJ.
And there have been a lot of circus shots and game winners that show that. After making a big splash as a rookie and winning Rookie of the Year, Jordan beat defenses every night and won 10 scoring titles. He was not only a great scorer, but also a great defender. He was named to the All-Defensive First Team 9 times and was named the Defensive Player of the Year once. What's more, he's the Bulls' all-time leader in many categories, such as points, rebounds, assists, and steals. When you add up his 5 MVP awards, 6 Finals MVPs, and 14 All-Star appearances, you get the best player to ever play on a hardwood court. These were some of the greatest Chicago Bulls players of all time. Hope you had fun. See you in the next one.